Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today's video, where we're diving deep into the world of 1971 United States half-dollar coins, also known as the Kennedy half-dollars. These coins might seem common, but hidden among them are rare treasures that collectors are willing to pay massive amounts of money for. So, stay tuned till the very end, because we're going to reveal how to identify these valuable coins, the rare mint marks that make them special, and the jaw-dropping price one recently sold for an incredible $50,270. Let's start with a little bit of history. The Kennedy half-dollar was first minted in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. America was in mourning, and the U.S. Mint quickly began producing a coin that would honor the beloved leader's memory. The very first 1964 Kennedy half-dollars were made of 90% silver, and collectors rushed to save them. But by 1971, things had changed. Silver had become too expensive to use in everyday coinage. So, in that year, the mint made a big decision, to remove silver completely from the half-dollar. This means that the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar was the first year the coin was made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, no silver at all. On the surface, that might make it seem less special. But here's where things get interesting. Each coin contains an inner core of pure copper and an outer layer made of a copper-nickel alloy, giving it that silvery look but without the precious metal value. Each coin weighs 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and features the profile of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse front, while the reverse displays the presidential seal, a bald eagle with a shield, holding arrows and an olive branch. Now, while millions of these coins were made, not all were created equal. Some of them, due to unique minting errors, have become incredibly valuable today. The 1971 D half-dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, and over 302 million of them were produced, one of the highest mintages in half-dollar history. The 197 coins from Philadelphia were also produced in the hundreds of millions, and then there's the 1971 S-proof coin from San Francisco, made for collectors, with mirror-like finishes and beautiful strikes. Normally, such high mintages would make these coins common and inexpensive. But hidden among these ordinary coins are a few rare minting errors and varieties that make them worth a small fortune. One of the most exciting discoveries in U.S. coin history came when collectors realized that a few 1971 D Kennedy half-dollars were accidentally struck on silver planchets, leftover silver blanks from the previous 1970 issue. Remember, 1971 was supposed to be the first year without silver. But apparently, some silver planchets remained in the Denver Mint's production line, and they accidentally got stamped with the 1971 D dies. These rare silver errors can be identified by their weight. Instead of 11.34 grams, they weigh closer to 11.5 or 11.6 grams due to the higher density of silver. They also have a slightly different ringing sound when dropped on a hard surface and a more brilliant luster. Finding one of these coins is like discovering buried treasure, because only a few are known to exist, and they have sold for astonishing prices at auctions. In recent years, collectors have been on a treasure hunt for the 1971 D silver era half-dollar. One particular coin, authenticated and graded by Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, shocked the numismatic world when it went up for auction. It was verified to be struck on a 40% silver planchet, and it was in exceptional condition. The bidding war was fierce, with collectors from around the globe competing to add this rare piece of history to their collection. When the final hammer fell, the price stunned everyone. The coin sold for $50,270. That's right, a coin that originally had a face value of just 50 cents turned into a jackpot worth tens of thousands of dollars. This proves that even the most ordinary-looking coins can hold incredible secrets, but that's not the only valuable 1971 half-dollar. Let's talk about a few more varieties and errors that can make your coin worth far more than its face value. Some 1971 half-dollars show clear doubling on Kennedy's profile, the word Liberty, or the date. If you see this kind of doubling under magnification, you might have a very valuable variety. Sometimes, coins are struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing. The more off-center the strike, the more unique and collectible it becomes. A clipped planchet error occurs when the metal sheet used for minting overlaps during cutting. This results in coins with curved bites taken out of them. These are quite collectible, the 1971 S-proof coins were struck with extra care for collectors, but even these have occasional minting issues. Proof coins with missing layers, double strikes, or cameo contrasts can command premium prices. Look right below Kennedy's neck for a D, S, or no mark. If it's a Denver Mint coin, weigh it carefully, use a magnifying glass to inspect the lettering, date, and design for any doubling, misalignments, or missing details. The edge of a regular 1971 half-dollar shows a visible copper line. If yours doesn't, or if it looks silvery all around, you may have found a silver strike. That if you suspect you have something rare, don't clean the coin or handle it too much. Send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC for verification. The value of a graded and authenticated coin is always much higher than an ungraded one. In the modern coin market, the demand for rare and error half-dollars has only grown. Collectors are constantly hunting for unique varieties that slip through quality control at the mint. What's fascinating is that many of these coins are still in circulation today, hiding in change jars, inherited coin collections, or even in bankrolls waiting to be discovered. You don't need to be a professional numismatist to start collecting. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a little bit of luck. Some collectors have even made it a hobby to buy boxes of half-dollars from banks, sort through them, and look for rare dates or errors. Many have found valuable silver coins and unique varieties worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1971 half-dollar represents more than just a piece of currency. It marks the transition from America's silver era to the modern age of clad coinage. Even though it was never meant to contain silver, a few lucky errors slipped through, making these coins legends in the numismatic world. The Kennedy half-dollar remains a symbol of honor, remembrance, and the American spirit. Collectors around the world treasure it not only for its historical significance but also for the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that one coin might change everything. We're talking about the 1977 D. Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but hides stories, mysteries, and in some rare cases, a small fortune. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's dive into the fascinating world of one of America's most beloved coins. The 1977 D Mint Mark half-dollar. To truly understand the 1977 D Kennedy half-dollar, we need to rewind a bit, back to the early 1960s. After the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963, the U.S. Mint moved with extraordinary speed to honor him on a coin. In just a few short months, the Kennedy half-dollar was born in 1964, replacing the Franklin half-dollar series. It was more than just a coin. It was a symbol of hope, remembrance, and unity, something every American could hold in their hand and feel a connection to a lost leader. Fast forward to 1977, and the Kennedy half-dollar had already become a household name. Millions of coins were being struck each year, with Denver producing a huge portion of them, identifiable by the tiny D mint mark just below Kennedy's neck on the coin. The 1977 D half-dollar carries the same powerful design as its predecessors. On the obverse, we see a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. His depiction captures both the strength and optimism that Kennedy represented. Above his head, the word "Liberty" arches boldly. Beneath the neck, the phrase, "In God We Trust," reminds us of the country's spirit, and the date 1977 proudly marks its era. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the presidential seal, an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by 50 small stars representing the 50 states. This reverse design, by Frank Gasparo, gives the coin a majestic, almost regal appearance. By 1977, the silver content that once made these half-dollars so prized was long gone. The mint had switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition back in 1971 to reduce costs and keep coins in circulation. Each 1977 D Kennedy half-dollar weighs 11.34 grams, with a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. Inside, it has a copper core, and the outer layers are made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The Denver Mint produced a massive 31,449,106 coins that year, quite a high mintage. So you might wonder, how could any of these possibly be rare or valuable? Well, here's where things start to get interesting. Not all coins are created equal. and sometimes, the tiniest minting mistake can turn an everyday coin into a collector's dream. Let's explore some of the rare errors and varieties found among the 1977 D. Kennedy half dollars that make collectors' hearts race. Sometimes, during production, the coin blank is not perfectly centered when struck by the die. The result? A coin with part of its design missing, and a crescent of blank metal on one side. A well-centered Kennedy profile on an off-center 1977 D can fetch hundreds of dollars, depending on how dramatic the misalignment is. Now, this is one of the most thrilling varieties. When the die strikes the planchet twice, slightly misaligned, the letters or numbers may appear doubled, especially around "Liberty, in God We Trust," or the date, 1977. Collectors go wild for strong examples of doubling, and prices can soar into the hundreds or even low thousands, depending on condition and visibility. Sometimes, a small curved section of the coin is missing because the blank metal was punched too close to the sheet's edge. These clipped coins are easy to spot and often worth a premium, especially if the cut doesn't affect Kennedy's portrait. While many of the 1977 D half dollars were released into circulation, some lucky coins were preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition. When these coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and receive high grades such as MS67 or MS68, their values can jump dramatically. Coin collectors, or numismatists, love the thrill of the hunt, especially when it comes to modern coins that are tough to find in pristine shape. The 1977 D half dollar is one of those coins that looks common. Until you start grading them. In lower circulated grades, it might only be worth 50 cents or $1. But when you find a highly preserved, lustrous example, with no scratches, spots, or dull surfaces, that's where the real magic happens. Imagine finding a coin that left the Denver Mint almost half a century ago, still shining as if it were struck yesterday. Over the years, collectors have paid astonishing amounts for top-quality 1977 D. Kennedy half dollars. One particularly stunning specimen, graded MS67 by PCGS, dazzled experts with its sharp details and mirror-like fields. When it hit the auction block, bidders from across the country went head-to-head, each determined to take home this near-perfect piece of history, and when the gavel finally fell, the price stunned everyone. The coin sold for an eye-popping sum of $44,270. Yes, you heard that right, $44,270 for a single half dollar that cost just 50 cents to make. The biggest factor behind that incredible price isn't just rarity, it's condition. When you hold two 1977 D half dollars side by side, they might look similar to the naked eye. But under magnification, the differences become clear. One might have tiny nicks or dull luster from being in circulation. The other might sparkle like a gemstone, untouched by time. We're diving deep into one of the most interesting coins from American history, the 1978 United States of America half-dollar coin. This isn't just any 50-cent piece, it's a symbol of the nation's rich heritage, the continuation of a historic coin series, and in rare cases, it can be worth a small fortune to the right collector. So sit back, relax, and let's explore everything about the 1978 Mint Mark half dollar, from its origin, fascinating details, hidden errors, collector demand, and finally, how some lucky owners have found these coins to be worth an astonishing amount of money. The 1978 half dollar belongs to the Kennedy half dollar series, one of the most beloved and recognizable coin series in U.S. history. The Kennedy half dollar was first issued in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Americans at the time were still mourning, and the creation of this coin served as a lasting tribute to a beloved leader. The design was completed in record time, and since then, it has held a special place in both numismatics and American hearts. The 1978 issue represents a fascinating era because it came during a transitional period when silver was long gone from circulating coins, yet collectors were still fascinated by the design and the small variations that appeared each year. Now, let's talk about the coin itself. The obverse, or front side, of the 1978 half dollar features the famous left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy. Designed by Gilroy Roberts, this depiction shows the late president with a calm, dignified expression, his hair finely detailed, capturing the essence of hope and strength. Above his head is the word "Liberty," and along the lower rim is the date, 1978. The phrase, "In God We Trust," appears prominently just below his chin, maintaining the patriotic and spiritual heritage found on all U.S. coinage. On the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, we find the presidential seal, a majestic bald eagle with its wings outstretched. The eagle holds an olive branch in its right talon, symbolizing peace, and 13 arrows in the left, representing the nation's readiness to defend itself. The design is surrounded by 50 stars, symbolizing the 50 states of the Union, and the inscriptions, "United States of America," and "$50" encircle the edges. The level of detail in this design makes it one of the most artistic and meaningful coins produced by the U.S. Mint. The 1978 Kennedy $50 was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint coins do not carry a mint mark, while those from Denver bear the familiar D mint mark, and the San Francisco pieces have the S mark. The regular circulation strikes were made at Philadelphia and Denver, while the San Francisco Mint produced special proof versions for collectors. Each mint mark gives the coin a slightly different level of rarity and value, depending on condition and quality. Most 1978 $50 were made from a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning they contained an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The total weight of the coin is about 11.34 grams, and it has a reeded edge, giving it that classic $50 look and feel. Even though these coins no longer contain silver, they remain popular among collectors because of their historical and patriotic design. Now let's get into what makes some of these coins special and valuable. At first glance, a 1978 $50 may not seem like much. After all, millions were produced for circulation. But coin collecting isn't just about the number made, it's about condition, rarity, errors, and history. If you happen to have one in exceptional condition or with a rare minting error, its value can skyrocket. Some of the rarest and most sought-after examples of the 1978 $50 are those struck with minting errors. These include double die obverse, off-center strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. A double die error, for example, occurs when the coin's design is impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect on the lettering or design features. When collectors find such an error on a 1978 $50, especially if it's in mint condition, they are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to add it to their collection. Off-center strikes are another interesting variety. These happen when the coin blank is not properly aligned during striking, resulting in part of the design missing. Some of these can be dramatically off-center, showing only half of Kennedy's face or parts of the lettering missing. The more dramatic and visible the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. There are also known instances of 1978 $50 being struck on wrong planchets, meaning the coin was accidentally made on a metal disc intended for another denomination, such as a quarter or even a foreign coin. These are extremely rare and highly prized among advanced collectors because they are essentially mint mistakes that shouldn't exist. Aside from errors, the condition of the coin plays a major role in its value. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS 70. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A 1978 $50 that has never been used in circulation, shows no signs of wear, and maintains its original luster can command impressive prices. Collectors often look for coins with sharp details, bright surfaces, and no scratches or discoloration. Proof versions from the San Francisco Mint, with their mirror-like finishes and frosted details, are especially popular. Another factor influencing value is whether the coin has been professionally graded by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade gives collectors confidence that the coin is authentic and that its condition has been verified by experts. Some top-graded examples of the 1978 $50 have fetched remarkable prices at auctions because they are almost perfect representations of the coin as it left the mint. Now, you might be wondering, if so many of these were made, why would anyone pay big money for one? The answer lies in collector demand and rarity of condition. Millions may have been struck, but most went straight into circulation and developed scratches, marks, and wear from everyday use. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition, or with a unique minting error, is like discovering a hidden gem. It's these small differences that transform a simple 50-cent coin into a collector's dream. the 1978 half-dollar also represents a nostalgic era for many collectors. The late 1970s was a time when coin collecting was booming across America. People were fascinated by coins from their change and were eager to hold on to anything that looked special or unusual. Because of this, many 1978 half-dollars were saved by collectors who appreciated the historical connection to President Kennedy and the elegant design of the coin. Even today, the Kennedy half-dollar remains one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. While it's not commonly found in everyday change anymore, it's still produced in limited quantities for collectors. The legacy of this coin continues to inspire new generations of numismatists, keeping the story of President Kennedy alive through one of America's most iconic pieces of currency. When evaluating your own 1978 half-dollar, it's important to check for a few key things. First, look at the mint mark, a D for Denver, no mark for Philadelphia, or an S for San Francisco. Then, examine the coin's surface under good lighting to check for any doubling, misalignment, or unique errors. If your coin appears exceptionally sharp and shiny, it may be worth having it graded professionally. You never know, your ordinary-looking half-dollar could turn out to be a valuable treasure hiding in plain sight. Collectors today are especially interested in the 1978 D Kennedy half-dollar in high mint state condition. Coins graded MS-65 and above are extremely desirable and can sell for significant amounts at auction. The San Francisco proof versions also fetch strong prices, particularly those with deep cameo contrast, where the frosted design stands out sharply against the mirror background. These coins look stunning and are often centerpieces in coin collections. As with all collectibles, the market for rare coins can fluctuate depending on demand, but truly exceptional coins tend to hold or even increase in value over time. That's why many people view coin collecting not just as a hobby, but as an investment. The 1978 half-dollar, with its blend of history, artistry, and rarity, fits perfectly into that category. If you're searching through old coin rolls, boxes of change, or inherited collections, keep an eye out for 1978 half-dollars, especially those with proof-like surfaces, unusual details, or minting errors. Even coins that look normal could be worth a second look. Many collectors have been surprised to discover that what they thought was a regular half-dollar was actually a rare variety worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The beauty of coin collecting lies in the stories each coin tells. Every 1978 half-dollar that passes through someone's hands has been part of the American story, a story of leadership, remembrance, and craftsmanship. And sometimes, those stories come with incredible financial rewards. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1988 D Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar coin, its creation, background, hidden varieties, and how a single one of these coins has become worth a stunning $34,275. Let's begin this incredible journey back in time, to the year 1988, a year that marked the continuation of a legacy in the American mint, and a year when one small change in metal and minting precision created one of the most interesting coins in modern U.S. history. The Kennedy half-dollar has always held a special place in the hearts of Americans. First introduced in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy, this coin wasn't just currency, it was a symbol of national remembrance, pride, and hope. The obverse side of the coin features a beautifully detailed profile of President Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse carries Frank Gasparo's rendering of the presidential seal, an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by 50 stars representing the states. By 1988, the Kennedy half-dollar had already been through several design tweaks, composition changes, and historical moments. Originally struck in 90% silver in 1964, the half-dollar soon transitioned to a 40% silver composition from 1965 through 1970. But by the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint made the decision to remove silver entirely, striking all regular issues from a copper-nickel-clad composition, a more cost-effective blend of copper and nickel designed for durability and circulation efficiency. The Denver Mint, marked by its distinct D Mint mark, was one of the two main facilities responsible for striking half-dollars in 1988, alongside the Philadelphia Mint. However, by this time, half-dollars were not commonly seen in day-to-day transactions. Banks ordered fewer of them, and most went straight into Federal Reserve storage. This low circulation rate meant that many Kennedy half dollars from the 1980s remain in pristine, uncirculated condition, and that's where collectors' excitement begins to grow. The 1988 D Kennedy half dollar carries a composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, with a total weight of 11.34 grams and a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. Though its face value is just 50 cents, its true value in the numismatic world depends on a few crucial factors: minting quality, condition, strike details, and, of course, rarity. Let's take a closer look at what makes the 1988 D Kennedy half dollar so fascinating. The Denver Mint produced more than 16 million of these coins, which at first might seem like a huge number. But not all 1988 D half dollars are equal. Among these millions, there are varieties, errors, and perfect condition examples that make some stand out from the rest, and those are the ones collectors chase relentlessly. One key aspect that adds intrigue to this coin is its overall strike quality. Denver Mint coins from the late 1980s are known for having stronger, more defined details compared to some of the earlier years, but even so, finding a perfectly struck 1988 D half dollar is rare. Many coins have minor nicks, marks, or dull luster from the minting and packaging process. But a few exceptional examples, coins struck with unusually sharp detail, smooth fields, and no visible flaws, are in a league of their own. Collectors and grading experts use the Sheldon scale to evaluate a coin's condition, ranging from 1, poor, to 70, perfect. For the 1988 D half dollar, most uncirculated examples fall in the MS-63 to MS-65 range. However, the real treasures are those that reach grades of MS-67 or higher, coins that display mirror-like brilliance, full mint luster, and not even the tiniest flaw visible under magnification. These near-perfect coins are where the value skyrockets. Another fascinating factor that makes the 1988 D Kennedy half dollar worth exploring is the presence of error varieties. Every so often, a coin slips through the minting process with unique characteristics, perhaps a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet. These minting errors turn what would be a common coin into something one-of-a-kind. For example, some 1988 D half dollars have been discovered with doubling on the obverse lettering, such as the words, Liberty, or, In God We Trust, while others show subtle misalignment that gives the coin a slightly off-centered look. These varieties add incredible interest and value to collectors who specialize in minting anomalies. Now, let's talk about the historical context surrounding the 1988 issue. By this time, the Kennedy half dollar had largely disappeared from daily use. Most people under 30 had never even received one in change. It had become more of a collector's coin and a staple of mint sets and proof sets sold directly to the public. Because of this, fewer circulated examples were made, and many coins were kept in rolls or mint packaging, preserved for decades. That's good news for collectors today, because it means more high-grade survivors are out there waiting to be discovered, but even among uncirculated examples, only a handful achieve the kind of perfection that drives their value to unbelievable heights. Imagine holding a coin minted over 3 decades ago, untouched by time, with flawless surfaces and original luster, a coin that looks exactly as it did the day it was struck. That's the kind of condition top collectors dream of finding, and that's the kind of coin that recently made headlines. In one exceptional case, a 1988 D Kennedy half dollar in near-perfect mint state condition was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping sum. Why? Because it displayed everything collectors seek: impeccable strike quality, flawless fields, sharp details in Kennedy's hair and facial features, and perfect preservation. It was graded by one of the top grading authorities in the world and confirmed as one of the finest known examples of its kind. Beyond condition, part of the appeal of this coin is sentimental. The Kennedy half dollar isn't just metal, it's a piece of American history, a tribute to one of the most beloved presidents of the 20th century. Collectors often view these coins as more than currency, they are tangible connections to a legacy of leadership, tragedy, and national pride. That emotional weight adds to their desirability and keeps demand alive even decades later. Now, let's touch on something often overlooked: the design details. If you look closely at the 1988 D Kennedy half dollar, you'll notice the precision of the portrait, the subtle curve of Kennedy's hair, the sharpness of his collar, and the finely textured background that gives the coin a sense of depth. The reverse side's eagle design also tells a story of artistry and national symbolism. Every feather, every star, and every element of the presidential seal was carefully rendered to reflect dignity and strength. These design aspects make the Kennedy half-dollar not just a coin, but a miniature work of art. Many collectors begin their journey with coins like this one, coins that seem ordinary but hold hidden stories and surprises. Whether you discover one in a collection, at a coin shop, or in an old roll from the bank, the excitement of uncovering a rare variety or a high-grade example is unmatched. And if you happen to find one that stands out, it could very well be worth a small fortune. So, how can you tell if your 1988 D. Kennedy half-dollar might be special? Start by checking for the mint mark, a small D located just below Kennedy's neck, above the date. Then, carefully inspect the coin for sharp details, full luster, and absence of scratches or wear. Coins with a strong strike, bright original surfaces, and crisp details are more likely to earn higher grades. If you suspect your coin might be exceptional, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service such as PCGS or NGC. A professional certification not only verifies authenticity but can dramatically increase a coin's market value. Over the years, collectors have paid increasing attention to modern half-dollars, recognizing that even recent coins can carry significant worth under the right conditions. The 1988 D issue is a perfect example, a coin from the late 20th century that continues to attract admiration and high bids at auctions. It's amazing to think that a simple piece of change could transform into a collectible treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. It reminds us that coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes, that story turns out to be worth far more than anyone could have imagined. We are uncovering the hidden worth and story behind one of the most overlooked coins in United States coinage history, the 1993 P. Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar coin. At first glance, this coin may look like just another 50-cent piece, but what if I told you that some examples of this coin can be worth a lot more than their face value? Yes, that's right, this unassuming coin can hold incredible value depending on its condition, rarity, and special minting details. So grab your magnifying glass and your coin collection, because by the end of this video, you'll look at your 1993 P half-dollar in a completely new way. Let's start our story from the very beginning. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, a year after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The American people were deeply moved, and to honor the fallen president, Congress quickly approved the design for the new 50-cent coin. It replaced the Franklin half-dollar and instantly became one of the most emotionally powerful coins ever issued by the United States Mint. Now, fast forward nearly 3 decades later to 1993, a time when the half-dollar coin was still in circulation but was no longer used as commonly in everyday transactions. By this time, most Americans preferred quarters or dollar bills for daily purchases, and half-dollars were increasingly seen more as collectible items than pocket change. This made the 1993 P half-dollar an interesting part of numismatic history, especially for those who appreciate the modern coinage era. The letter P mint mark represents the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most important facilities in American minting history. Philadelphia is where many of the nation's earliest and most collectible coins were made, and it continued to produce high-quality coins through the 1990s. In 1993, millions of Kennedy half-dollars rolled out of its presses, but not all of them were created equal. While the total mintage for the 1993 P half-dollar was around 15,510,000 coins, finding one in perfect condition today is no small task. You might be wondering, what makes some of these coins so valuable? Well, let's explore that step by step. First, it's all about condition. The grading system used by collectors and dealers ranges from poor to perfect mint state, known as MS-70. Most coins you find in circulation are heavily worn, scratched, or discolored, all of which reduce value. But if you have a 1993 P half-dollar that has never been used, one that still shines with its original mint luster, you could be holding a true gem. Coins graded MS-65 or higher can bring impressive prices at auction, especially when combined with sharp details and a clean surface. Second, there's the matter of errors and varieties. Minting mistakes are what truly ignite the excitement of collectors. Sometimes, coins are struck twice, off-center, or have missing design elements due to planchet or die issues. These minting errors can make an ordinary coin extremely valuable. Imagine having a 1993p half dollar where the lettering is slightly misaligned or where the edge appears thicker on one side. Those subtle imperfections can make your coin a rare collector's treasure. Now let's talk about design, the iconic Kennedy half dollar. On the obverse, you'll find the beautifully sculpted portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. The design captures the strength and optimism Kennedy symbolized during his presidency. Above his head, the word Liberty proudly arcs across the top, while below you'll find the year of issue, 1993. The famous motto, "In God We Trust," appears just below Kennedy's chin, a constant reminder of America's enduring values. Turn the coin over to the reverse, and you'll see the great presidential seal, created by designer Frank Gasparo. It features a heraldic eagle holding a bundle of arrows in one claw and an olive branch in the other, symbolizing America's readiness for both peace and defense. Above the eagle's head are 13 stars representing the original colonies, surrounded by a ring of 50 smaller stars for each state in the Union. This elegant and patriotic design makes the Kennedy half dollar one of the most admired coins ever produced in the United States. But what makes the 1993p version particularly special is its place in the transition between the old and modern minting techniques. By the early 1990s, the mint had refined its processes for creating proof and circulation coins, yet small variations still existed in die quality, polishing, and strike sharpness. Those differences mean that no two coins are exactly alike. Collectors often look for those with particularly strong strikes, mirror-like finishes, and crisp edges. Another key detail lies in the coin's composition. The 1993p Kennedy half dollar was made of copper-nickel clad, not silver. This means its intrinsic metal value is low, but its collectible worth depends entirely on demand, rarity, and condition. Even though the coin is not silver, pristine examples are sought after by those building complete Kennedy half dollar sets, especially those that include both regular strikes and proof versions from the San Francisco Mint. If you're wondering how to tell whether your coin might be valuable, here's what to look for. Examine the coin under bright light and check the surfaces carefully. If you see strong detail in Kennedy's hair, especially around the temple and ear, that's a good sign of a well-struck coin. Look for any doubling on the letters of Liberty or In God We Trust, which could indicate a double die variety. Also, make sure to check the edge for full reading, the small vertical grooves around the rim. Complete, sharp reading is another mark of high quality. For the ultimate accuracy, collectors rely on professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC. Sending your coin for certification can make a huge difference in its market value, as a certified grade gives buyers confidence that they are purchasing a genuine, accurately described piece. Some 1993p Kennedy half dollars graded at MS-68 have sold for astonishing amounts due to their exceptional beauty and rarity. Now let's step back and appreciate the story behind why collectors still cherish these coins today. The Kennedy half dollar represents more than just currency, it's a piece of American history that connects generations. From the emotional launch in 1964 to the modern-day minting runs, this coin series tells the story of change, hope, and remembrance. Each year's coin reflects not just minting technology but also the cultural moment in which it was made. By 1993, the United States had entered a new era of modern coinage. Collectors were becoming more sophisticated, the internet was beginning to connect hobbyists across the world, and coin shows were drawing large crowds. The Kennedy half dollar became a symbol of continuity, a coin that reminded people of the past while embracing the precision of modern minting. Even though half dollars were rarely seen in circulation, they were produced every year, partly because of their immense popularity among collectors. What's even more fascinating is that the 1993p half dollar serves as a time capsule of American craftsmanship. Each coin represents countless hours of work, from the artists who refined the dies to the engineers who maintained the presses. These coins traveled through the hands of workers, collectors, and historians alike, making them more than just money, they're miniature works of art. Today, many collectors search rolls and bank bags, hoping to uncover pristine examples of this coin or one with a unique minting error. Stories of rare finds continue to appear, fueling the excitement in the coin collecting community. Some people have even found uncirculated rolls of 1993 half dollars tucked away in old bank vaults, preserved for decades, waiting to be rediscovered. So how much can your 1993 Kennedy half dollar actually be worth? While most circulated examples are worth around face value or slightly above, the story changes completely when we talk about high-grade or rarer coins. If your coin is certified in gem mint condition, with no marks, bright luster, and perfect strike, it can fetch significant amounts among collectors. And for those lucky enough to possess one of the rarest specimens in top condition, the value can reach an astonishing amount, precisely $28,275. Imagine holding that in your hand, a coin that was once worth 50 cents now valued at tens of thousands of dollars. That's the magic of coin collecting. The thrill of discovery, the beauty of history, and the excitement of knowing that hidden treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. We're about to uncover the fascinating story behind one of the most remarkable and underrated coins in modern American history, the United States of America 1995 Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar coin. This isn't just any ordinary 50-cent piece you might find jingling in your pocket change. This coin carries history, art, value, and mystery, a blend that makes it one of the most talked about half-dollars among collectors today. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll not only learn how to recognize valuable 1995 half-dollars but also discover the secret behind one extremely rare example that sold for an unbelievable price of over $22,275. Now, let's dive deep into this incredible story and learn why the 1995 half-dollar continues to capture the imagination of coin enthusiasts around the world. Let's start with its origin and design. The 1995 Kennedy half-dollar belongs to the beloved series that began in 1964, created to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination in 1963. The coin became an instant symbol of national pride, respect, and remembrance. Even today, more than half a century later, the Kennedy half-dollar remains one of the most iconic pieces of American coinage. The obverse, or front side, of the 1995 half-dollar features a beautifully detailed portrait of John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, who captured the president's youthful and determined expression. The word "Liberty" arcs around the top edge, while the phrase "In God We Trust" rests below Kennedy's chin. The date, 1995, appears at the bottom, marking the year of minting. Right above the date, you'll notice a small letter, P, that's the mint mark of the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historic mints in the United States. Turn the coin over to the reverse side, and you're greeted by the majestic image of the presidential seal, an eagle with spread wings holding arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing both strength and peace. This design, created by Frank Gasparo, perfectly represents the nation's ideals and Kennedy's legacy of leadership and hope. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, one for each state, along with the inscriptions, United States of America, and half-dollar. Now, what makes the 1995 half-dollar so interesting is that while it was produced in large numbers, over 26 million coins were struck, very few survive today in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most were released into circulation and picked up everyday scratches, marks, and wear from handling. But collectors aren't just after any coin, they're hunting for those rare few that were struck perfectly and preserved carefully. The composition of the 1995 half-dollar also adds to its charm. By this year, the U.S. Mint had already moved away from the 90% silver content used in the early 1960s. Instead, these coins were made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, an inner core of pure copper sandwiched between two layers of nickel. This gives the coin its bright, silvery shine while keeping production costs low. Even though it's not made of precious metal, its value today lies in rarity, grade, and collector demand. So, why do collectors love the 1995 half-dollar? The answer lies in its connection to the Kennedy legacy and the quality of the strike. Some 1995 half-dollars from the Philadelphia Mint exhibit what numismatists call a strong strike, where every detail of Kennedy's hair, facial features, and the eagle's feathers appear razor-sharp. These coins, especially when found in high mint state grades like MS-67 or MS-68, can fetch stunning prices. Let's talk about the grading process for a moment, because this is crucial for anyone interested in understanding how a coin's value is determined. The Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, is the standard system used by professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. A coin graded MS-60 or higher is considered mint state, meaning it shows no wear from circulation. But as you move higher, MS-65, MS-67, MS-68, the value skyrockets because the coin's luster, surface, and details become nearly flawless. For the 1995 p half-dollar, coins graded below MS-64 are relatively common and may sell for just a few dollars. However, once you enter the higher grades, the story changes dramatically. An MS-67 coin can bring hundreds of dollars, and those that reach the top levels of perfection, flawless surfaces, sharp details, mirror-like shine, become incredibly valuable. Another factor that adds excitement to the 1995 p half-dollar is the possibility of errors. The U.S. Mint's large-scale production sometimes results in fascinating minting mistakes that collectors go wild for. Some examples include off-center strikes, double die errors, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, the metal blank. These mint errors make each coin unique, a one-of-a-kind piece of American history. For example, a 1995 p half-dollar with a dramatic die clash or double strike could sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its condition. Now, let's talk about the coin's history and circulation background. By 1995, half-dollars were no longer widely used in daily commerce. Most Americans preferred quarters and dollar bills, leaving half-dollars as a collector's curiosity or a coin you'd only see in casinos and banks. Because of this limited circulation, many Kennedy half-dollars from the 1990s remain stored in mint sets or coin rolls, waiting decades to be rediscovered. That's part of what makes the 1995 p issue so fascinating. You never know when one might appear in an old collection, untouched and shining like the day it was minted. There's also a patriotic connection to owning this coin. The Kennedy half-dollar symbolizes an important era in U.S. history, the 1960s spirit of optimism, progress, and unity. Collectors often say they don't just see metal in their hands, but a piece of American legacy. The 1995 p mint mark version carries forward that tradition beautifully, linking modern minting with timeless symbolism. For those who collect Kennedy half-dollars as part of a complete series, the 1995 p plays a special role. It represents the 32nd year of continuous minting for the design and bridges the gap between the earlier silver versions and the later, lower mintage collector editions. In fact, many collectors who started with the silver halves from 1964 eventually move on to complete full-date runs that include coins like the 1995 p. Now, what should you look for if you think you might have a valuable 1995 p half-dollar? Start by examining the coin's surface. Does it have full luster and no scratches? Are Kennedy's hair details sharp and crisp? Is the eagle's feathering clean and well-defined? Next, check the coin's edges. A strong strike should show clean rims with no flattening. Finally, look for any unusual features or errors that stand out. If your coin seems especially well preserved, it might be worth submitting to a professional grading service. Another tip: coins kept in original mint sets are often in better condition than those that circulated. So if you find a 1995 U.S. Mint set or proof set, take a closer look at the half-dollar inside. The proof versions, in particular, were struck multiple times using polished dies, resulting in a mirror-like finish that collectors love. Though proofs from 1995 generally have the S mint mark from San Francisco, the Philadelphia minted uncirculated versions are also desirable in top condition. Collectors often emphasize that coins like the 1995 p half-dollar are more than just money, they're time capsules. Every mark, shine, and feature tells a story of American craftsmanship and artistry. The Kennedy half-dollar series, spanning decades, continues to remind people of a young president's dream and a nation's enduring resilience. Over the years, the value of high-grade 1995 p half-dollars has steadily climbed, driven by limited supply in premium condition and strong collector demand. Some experts predict that as more people enter the hobby and older collections are broken up, the price for pristine examples will rise even further. So, if you happen to find a 1995p half-dollar coin tucked away in your change jar, old wallet, or coin collection, don't overlook it. Take the time to inspect it carefully. You might just be holding something far more valuable than 50 cents. And who knows, it could be one of those rare examples that turns out to be worth a small fortune. To give you an idea of how high that value can go, there was a record-breaking sale for an exceptional 1995p Kennedy half-dollar that stunned collectors and auction houses alike. The coin was graded by a leading certification service in near-perfect condition, with flawless details, incredible shine, and almost no visible marks. When it went under the hammer, bidders from across the country competed fiercely to own it. The final hammer price was an astounding $22,275. Yes, for a single half-dollar coin. That's the magic of numismatics, turning what might seem like an ordinary coin into a piece of history worth more than most people could imagine. The 1995p half-dollar proves that rarity, condition, and passion can transform something as small as a 50-cent piece into a true treasure. We're diving deep into the story of this coin, the 1996p half-dollar, exploring its history, composition, interesting facts, and how one of these coins could be worth far more than its face value. We'll travel back in time to understand its origins, examine what makes it unique, and discover why some lucky collectors have found versions of this coin that can fetch an unbelievable amount of money. To understand the value and beauty of the 1996 half-dollar, we first need to look at where it came from. The Kennedy half-dollar series began in 1964, just a few months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation was mourning deeply, and within weeks, the U.S. Mint began working on a new design to honor the fallen president. Sculptors Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparro were chosen to design the coin. Roberts crafted the striking profile of Kennedy on the obverse, while Gasparro created the detailed presidential seal on the reverse. The coin was released in 1964, and the public response was overwhelming. People were eager to hold on to a piece of history, something that symbolized not only national pride but also collective sorrow. The first Kennedy halves were made of 90% silver, which gave them a radiant shine and weight that collectors still admire today. However, over the years, as the price of silver rose, the mint reduced and eventually eliminated silver from regular circulation coins. By 1971, the half-dollar was made primarily of a copper-nickel composition, a change that remained through 1996 and beyond. Fast forward to the year 1996, a year of technological growth and modern change in America. The internet was beginning to shape the world, and digital communication was booming. Yet, in the world of coinage, the Kennedy half-dollar quietly continued its journey, being struck mostly for collectors and limited circulation. By the mid-1990s, half-dollars weren't used much in everyday transactions anymore. Most people rarely saw them in change. Because of that, many of these coins, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, remained in excellent condition, untouched by the wear and tear of circulation. The 1996p Mint mark half-dollar was struck in Philadelphia, as indicated by the P mark on the obverse side of the coin. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these coins, more than 24 million to be exact. Each coin weighed about 11.34 grams and measured 30.6 millimeters in diameter. The coin's outer layers were composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. Now, at first glance, the 1996p half-dollar may not seem particularly rare. After all, millions were made. But the magic of coin collecting lies in the details, the condition, the errors, and the unique minting characteristics that make one coin stand out from another. And that's exactly what makes certain 1996 half-dollars worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the main factors that affects a coin's value is its grade, how well it has been preserved since it left the mint. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with Mint State 70, MS 70, representing a coin that's absolutely flawless under magnification. For the 1996p half-dollar, finding one in pristine mint state condition, free of scratches, bag marks, or dullness, is quite rare. Most coins from circulation show small marks or luster breaks. But when collectors find an example with bright luster, sharp details, and no visible imperfections, it can bring an impressive premium. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are particularly desirable, as only a small fraction of 1996 half dollars ever reached that level of perfection, but it's not just about condition. Sometimes the real excitement comes from minting errors. In the world of coin collecting, errors are like hidden treasures. They happen when something goes wrong during the minting process, such as a misaligned die, a doubled image, or an off-center strike. Collectors love these rare mistakes because they transform ordinary coins into one-of-a-kind pieces. Among the 1996 half dollars, a few interesting error varieties have surfaced over the years. Some coins show doubling on the inscriptions, such as the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." These are known as double die errors, and they can be quite valuable depending on how dramatic the doubling appears. Others have been found with partial collar strikes, where the rim of the coin appears misshaped or thicker on one side. There are even reports of off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned, a fascinating sight for collectors and a sign of a minting mishap. Another point of interest is the coin's beautiful design. The obverse features John F. Kennedy's proud and confident profile, surrounded by the word "Liberty" and the motto, "In God We Trust." The date 1996 sits just below the neckline, with the P mint mark to the right. On the reverse, we see the majestic presidential coat of arms, a heraldic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace. The eagle is surrounded by 50 stars, representing the 50 states, along with the words "United States of America" and "half dollar." Every detail of the Kennedy half dollar carries deep meaning. The eagle's raised wings symbolize America's readiness to defend freedom, while the olive branch reminds us that peace is always the goal. The design's symmetry and elegance have made it one of the most recognizable and respected coins in American history. Over the decades, the Kennedy half dollar has also become a symbol of nostalgia. For many Americans, it represents a connection to a time when coinage was more than just money, it was a reflection of national pride. Even though these coins are not commonly used in circulation today, they remain a beloved series among numismatists and historians alike. When it comes to collecting the 1996 half dollar, experts often recommend looking for coins in brilliant uncirculated condition or those that have been preserved in mint sets. The U.S. Mint sold these sets directly to collectors, and coins from them often retain their original luster and sharpness. If you come across a 1996 half dollar that looks brand new, it might be from one of these sets, and that's a great sign. To check for potential value, pay close attention to the coin's surface. Look for strong luster, no visible scratches, and sharp definition in Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers. If you find such a coin, it may be worth submitting it to a professional grading service for authentication and grading. Even a small difference in grade can mean a big difference in value. Now, let's talk about rarity in the marketplace. While millions of 1996 half dollars exist, very few survive in the highest mint state grades. And when collectors compete for those top-quality coins, prices can rise quickly. Auction results have shown that exceptional examples, especially those certified as MS-68 or higher, have fetched surprisingly high amounts. Coin collecting is not just about money, though. For many enthusiasts, it's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of finding something unique, the history it represents, and the connection it brings to America's past. Every coin tells a story, and the 1996 half dollar tells a story of a nation continuing to honor a president whose legacy still shines brightly decades after his death. Imagine finding one of these coins in a collection, a forgotten roll, or even tucked away in an old jar. At first glance, it might seem like just another half dollar, but under closer inspection, you realize it's something special, a pristine coin from 1996, gleaming with luster, possibly with a mint error or an extremely high grade. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's like a modern-day treasure hunt, where knowledge, patience, and curiosity can lead to a truly valuable find. Collectors continue to seek out 1996 half dollars not just for their value, but also for their symbolism and enduring charm. They represent a piece of the American story, a tribute to a beloved president, a reminder of national pride, and a reflection of the artistry of the U.S. Mint. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just getting started, holding one of these coins in your hand feels like holding a small piece of history, and while most of these coins may only be worth their face value of 50 cents, the rarest and most pristine examples have achieved remarkable auction results. It goes to show that in the world of numismatics, sometimes the most unexpected coins can hold extraordinary value. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins circulating in modern America, the 2023 D Mint Mark half-dollar coin. It's a coin that continues to spark curiosity, admiration, and excitement among collectors all across the country. You might have seen one of these shiny pieces in your change or perhaps tucked away in a roll from the bank, and wondered, could it be worth more than just 50 cents? Could one of these coins be hiding a small fortune? Well, today, we'll uncover everything you need to know about the 2023 D half-dollar, its history, design, minting details, and the surprising value it can hold for collectors. So sit tight, because this journey through time and metal might just make you check your coin jar again tonight. Let's start at the very beginning. The 2023 D half-dollar is part of the long-standing Kennedy half-dollar series, a coin that has been an American icon since it was first introduced in 1964. It was created in honor of President John F. Kennedy, following his tragic assassination in 1963. Designed by Chief Engraver Gilroy Roberts for the obverse and Frank Gasparo for the reverse, this coin quickly became more than just a piece of currency. It became a symbol of hope, unity, and remembrance during one of America's most emotional eras. Now, the 2023 D half-dollar continues that legacy. Struck at the Denver Mint, which is what the D Mint mark represents, this coin maintains the classic design that Americans have cherished for decades. On the obverse, we have the elegant, left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy. His youthful yet determined expression, the detailed lines in his hair, and the clean inscription, Liberty, that arcs above his head, all make this coin stand out as a small piece of art. Beneath his portrait, you'll find the phrase, "In God We Trust," a motto that has adorned American coins for generations, and the date, 2023, marking its place in modern history. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the powerful image of the presidential seal, the heraldic eagle with its outstretched wings, clutching an olive branch in one talon and a bundle of arrows in the other, symbolizing peace and strength. The eagle's chest is adorned with a striped shield, representing the United States' resolve and independence, while a circle of stars hovers above its head. Around the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, and half-dollar. This reverse design has remained virtually unchanged since 1964, giving it a timeless appeal that collectors adore. But what makes the 2023 D half-dollar truly special isn't just its design, it's the story of its production and rarity. Unlike earlier decades, modern half-dollars aren't widely used in circulation. Most Americans rarely encounter them in daily life, which makes finding one in your pocket change today feel almost magical. Since 2002, the U.S. Mint has primarily produced Kennedy half-dollars for collectors rather than for general circulation. However, in 2023, a limited number of these coins were struck for collectors and distributed through special rolls and bags directly from the mint. This limited production is what gives the 2023 D Mint Mark half-dollar its unique charm. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado, is one of the primary producers of U.S. coinage and has a long history of creating some of the most precisely struck coins in the country. Each coin from this mint carries the small letter D on the obverse, near Kennedy's neck, marking it as a Denver creation. The metal composition of the 2023 D half-dollar is another fascinating feature. Like all modern Kennedy half-dollars, it is composed of a copper-nickel-clad material, 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. It has a diameter of 30.61 mm and weighs 11.34 grams, giving it a solid feel in your hand. When you hold one, you can sense its weight, its quality, and the craftsmanship behind every detail. Now, let's talk about what collectors really want to know: the value. The worth of a 2023 D half-dollar depends on several key factors: its condition, rarity, and demand among collectors. In circulated condition, these coins typically hold just their face value, 50 cents, but when you find one in pristine, uncirculated, or mint state condition, that's when things start to get interesting. Grading plays a major role in determining the coin's value. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. Most 2023 half dollars that come directly from U.S. Mint rolls can grade between MS 64 and MS 67, while the truly exceptional examples, those with perfect strikes, strong luster, and zero blemishes, can reach the MS 69 or MS 70 level. These are the coins that serious collectors crave. In recent months, the market for modern half dollars has seen a noticeable uptick. Collectors are beginning to pay more attention to newer issues, especially those with the D mint mark, as they tend to be scarcer in top grades. Coin shows and online auctions have revealed that a perfect grade 2023 D half dollar can command impressive prices among enthusiasts looking to complete their Kennedy sets. Another factor that increases this coin's appeal is its connection to the broader legacy of the Kennedy series. The half dollar, once a common piece of change, has evolved into a beloved collector's item. People who grew up in the 1960s still feel nostalgic when they see Kennedy's face on a coin, while younger collectors view it as a bridge between America's past and present. The 2023 issue continues that tradition, reminding us that even in the age of digital money, the artistry and symbolism of physical coins remain powerful. It's also worth noting that errors and varieties can dramatically increase the value of a coin. While most 2023 D half dollars were struck with precision, rare minting errors do occasionally slip through. These can include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or even missing lettering. Such errors are highly prized by collectors because they turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind rarity. For example, a 2023 D half dollar showing a strong double die on the lettering or date could easily fetch a premium far above its standard market value. Collectors are always encouraged to examine their coins closely, sometimes under magnification, to spot these tiny anomalies that could make a massive difference in value. It's one of the thrills of coin collecting, the idea that an extraordinary discovery could be sitting unnoticed in your coin collection or spare change. But beyond the hunt for value, there's also something deeper about this coin. The Kennedy half dollar represents ideals, leadership, hope, courage, and unity. It connects generations. From grandparents who remember Kennedy's presidency to younger people who only know his story through history books, this coin continues to inspire and fascinate. That's part of what makes collecting so meaningful. Every coin tells a story, and the 2023 D half dollar tells one that is both modern and timeless. Now, when we look at the current market trends, collectors have started noticing that demand for modern mint mark coins, especially D mint marks, is steadily increasing. The Denver Mint's output often shows sharper strikes than its Philadelphia counterpart, making these coins more desirable to those seeking top-quality examples. Additionally, the limited release strategy means not everyone can get their hands on these coins directly from the U.S. Mint. This scarcity naturally pushes up demand and, over time, value. Many collectors predict that coins like the 2023 D half dollar will become the sleepers of the future, modern coins that seem ordinary now but could skyrocket in value decades from today. The key is preservation. Coins that remain in perfect mint state condition, untouched, unblemished, and stored properly, will always command the highest prices when the collecting community looks back at these early 2020s issues. So if you happen to come across a 2023 D half dollar in your collection or in a mint roll, handle it carefully. Store it in a protective coin holder, avoid touching it with bare fingers, and keep it away from moisture or dust. Every small detail matters in maintaining that pristine condition collectors cherish. What's truly interesting is how this coin, despite being from our current decade, already carries a sense of history. It reminds us of the evolution of American coinage, how our currency has changed through time while still preserving the spirit of the nation. From silver compositions in the 1960s to the copper-nickel-clad alloys of today, every half dollar minted tells a piece of America's economic and cultural journey, and of course, for collectors who are passionate about value, here's what you've been waiting for. In today's collectible coin market, a flawless 2023 D mint mark half dollar, graded at the very top levels by a professional grading company, has been valued at an astounding $12,275. That's right, from a 50-cent coin to a potential five-figure treasure. The 2023 half-dollar proves once again that modern coins can hold incredible surprises. So if you haven't yet, it's time to start looking closely at your change, your rolls, or your collection boxes. You never know when a simple piece of metal could turn into a valuable story, or a small fortune waiting to be discovered.